The evening air was warm in the small town of Brookside, and the glow of streetlights cast long shadows over the local library's grand opening. It should have been a night for celebration, but for Nicole Hayes, it felt like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. There she was, standing at the back of the room, dressed in her simple green dress that had seen better days, her worn shoes tapping lightly on the polished floor. She had worked for the Caldwell family for years. She had raised their son, Daniel, since he was a child, taking him in when his mother passed away. But tonight, all that mattered to the Caldwells, it seemed, was her presence. Not who she was, not what she'd done, but how she looked, how she didn't belong. You see her? Diane Caldwell's voice broke through the air, harsh and sharp. Looks like she's here to scrub the floors. Her words landed like daggers. Nicole didn't need to hear them to know exactly what they were saying. The whispering had started as soon as she walked in. The judgmental stares, the thinly veiled insults, the silent condemnation. They saw her as nothing more than the help. Not a mother. Not someone who had given her entire heart to a child when no one else would. Just the help. Nicole squeezed the small silver bracelet on her wrist, her only keepsake from Daniel, given to her years ago when he was a young boy. He had no idea how much that bracelet meant to her. To him, it was just a trinket. But to Nicole, it was a reminder of everything she had sacrificed for him. She could hear her heart beating in her chest, but she didn't show it. Not in front of them. The evening was supposed to be about Daniel, his accomplishments, his scholarship, his brilliance. And yet, his family, the Caldwells, had never been able to see him the way she did. They never appreciated how hard he worked, how much he fought to get where he was. They never saw him as her son, the son she had raised with nothing but love and the knowledge that sometimes love was all you needed. "Nicole, you made it," Daniel said, his voice cutting through her thoughts. His presence was like a breath of fresh air in the stuffy room. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his shoulders tall with pride, his eyes glistening with a joy that almost made her forget the Caldwells' cruel whispers. Almost. "Wouldn't miss it, Daniel," she said, her voice steady but warm. She smiled at him, a small, proud smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Her fingers tightened around his for a moment, like a silent promise. No matter how hard they tried to make her feel small, she would always be here for him. But the Caldwells, standing near the front, didn't miss a beat. Diane Caldwell, his aunt, scoffed loudly. Could have at least brought someone presentable. Daniel's jaw clenched, his hand twitching like he wanted to do something about it. But Nicole's hand on his arm stopped him. "Let it be, son," she said softly, the words barely above a whisper. "Today's about you. Don't let them steal your joy." Daniel hesitated, his eyes flicking to the Caldwells, but then he nodded. She was right. He had worked too hard to let their poison ruin this day. The crowd started to shift, and the speeches began, the university's president taking the stage. But as the evening continued, the tension was palpable. The Caldwells couldn't stop themselves from sneering at Nicole. She didn't belong in their world of tailored suits and pearls. But she wasn't there for them. She was there for Daniel. It wasn't long before Margaret Caldwell, Daniel's aunt, leaned toward her cousin, Richard. "You know, she was just the maid," Margaret said, loud enough for the people around her to hear. "Just the cleaner who ended up raising him." Nicole didn't flinch. She didn't even look up. She picked up her glass of water, took a sip, and kept her eyes fixed on the stage. They could whisper, they could look down on her, but she would never give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. But Daniel heard it, and this time, he couldn't keep his anger in check. He started to step toward Margaret, fists clenched, but Nicole's hand gently grabbed his arm. "Ethan," she murmured softly, "let it be. We know who we are." He wanted to scream, to shout at them, to make them see the truth, but he stayed silent, standing there with his mother. And as he stood by her side, Nicole's quiet strength, her unyielding grace, became a beacon that no whisper could ever put out. The evening wore on, the speeches getting more congratulatory, the guests milling about, some with genuine admiration for Daniel, others too focused on their own conversations to notice what was happening around them. But Nicole, standing off to the side, felt the weight of the moment. It was heavy, but she could carry it. She always had. And then, just as the night seemed to be winding down, the university president paused, the crowd silencing in anticipation. "We'd like to present a special award tonight," he said, his voice commanding attention. "This award goes to someone who made an extraordinary sacrifice, someone whose selflessness saved a life and whose actions continue to inspire." Nicole's heart skipped a beat. She had no idea what was coming next. The president's voice rang out, clear and proud. 15 years ago, a tragic accident left a student at the university in critical condition. This woman, with no obligation to do so, stepped forward and donated part of her liver to save that student's life. She never asked for recognition, never sought fame. But tonight, we honor her with the Heart of Humanity Award. The room was silent. Nicole's heart pounded in her chest as she realized they were talking about her. The applause began, but it felt distant, far away. All Nicole could hear was her own breathing as she tried to process the words. The Caldwells, once so smug and certain in their disdain for her, sat frozen, staring at her in shock. Diane's champagne flute slipped slightly in her hand, and Evelyn's eyes widened in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. And in that moment, as the crowd erupted in applause, Daniel's pride swelled. He stepped forward, his hand reaching for Nicole's, pulling her toward the stage. For the first time in his life, he wasn't ashamed of who his mother was. He was proud. Proud of her strength, proud of her love, proud of everything she had done for him when no one else would. As they stood there, side by side, Nicole's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of Tory, of love, of a bond that couldn't be broken. The president handed her the award, and as Nicole took it, she didn't need to say a word. The room had already seen her light. The Caldwells, sitting in stunned silence, could no longer ignore what they had tried to silence for so long. They had mocked her. They had belittled her. But now, they saw who she truly was. A hero, a mother, a woman who chose love every single day, even when it wasn't easy. As the applause continued, Daniel reached for her hand, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm so proud of you, Mom." Nicole smiled, her heart full. "I didn't do it for the applause," she whispered. "I did it for love." And that was all that mattered. As they left the stage, the night felt different. The Caldwells had been exposed, their arrogance replaced by regret. But for Nicole and Daniel, the world was just beginning to see the truth. The truth that sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who never seek recognition. The ones who love, fight, and sacrifice quietly, without ever asking for anything in return. What do you think? Was the Caldwell's change of heart genuine, or was it just too little, too late? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of real-life heroes who inspire us all. Until next time.